if you're someone that wants to give a gift, wants to leave a legacy, I think the big question that comes up now is, hey, should I give that now or should I wait and leave that legacy later in life? And more people are just deciding, hey, I want to give that gift now while I'm still alive. What's the best approach, and how do you figure out what's going to work best for you in your future? We'll talk about that next with Ryan coming up. Welcome in. This is Perfect Game Retirement. I'm Ben George with Ryan Ledden, the founder of Black Oak Asset Management, a certified financial planner. And got a good topic today, Ryan. I know a lot of people you work with have the goal of helping others, right? Whether it be kids, family, grandkids, charities, leaving money. And I think a lot of it, a lot of the discussion now is about, is it best to do this right away and help out now while I can, or is it better to pass that along when I'm no longer here?
Yeah, different strokes for different folks. I mean, there's a couple of strategies there. Yeah, do you leave it after life, or do you watch people enjoy it during life? Everyone's different with that. Some people, you got to take care of yourself, and maybe there's not enough assets to really be able to do that. But I have several clients that still get gifts from their aging parents, because their aging parents want to see them enjoy that money while they're alive. And they can, you can still control how that money is divvied up when you are passed away via a will and trust. But you can also verbally communicate that, like, hey, I'm giving you a gift. I'd really like for, you to use it for this. Obviously, when you give that gift, it's out of your control in your hands. But if I'm toward the end stages of my life, I would want to give it away while I am alive and take advantage of this gift tax exemption that the government gives us the ability to do. And we'll get into the specifics of what those numbers are. But I would want to see my family enjoy it, because some of the inherited money is the quickest dollar ever spent. So yeah. I would like to see the fruits of my labor being used in front of me.
Yeah, that's so true. And today we're going to help you make that decision with confidence, whether it is, hey, I want to wait and get that money once I've passed, or I want to start doing that now as I'm living to be able to enjoy that. We want to make sure that you are taking these considerations into account and making the best decision possible for you. And again, this is all easier to do if you're working with a professional. You can go to speakwithryan.com to schedule time to sit down with Ryan, have that first initial 15, 20-minute discussion to talk about, some of your goals, what are some of your wishes, how to best get there, and then, from there, kind of begin that planning process. But again, it starts with speakwithryan.com. So as you kind of think through this decision, first thing you got to do, Ryan, is make sure you're covered, right? I know everybody wants to give money away, but you want to make sure that you have that money to gift before you actually start passing it over.
Yeah, because retirement can get expensive. Costs can get expensive. We've nicknamed it before. There's a lot of, there's the go-go years, the slow go, and the no-go. Well, it's kind of bookended by usually spending more in those beginning stages of retirement, and then not really by your choice, but toward the end of retirement if you need help, if you need care on your health. So, and then those middle years, maybe you're still healthy, but okay, you don't want to maybe travel as much or do extreme type things. So anyways, you have to make sure you have your own foundation in place, because you don't want to have to move in later with your kids and live in their basement. Sometimes it's okay. It's okay to do that. I want that to be a choice, not like out of necessity, because I have plenty of clients that have their aging parents living with them, and it's by choice, which is great. You want your loved one there, then totally fine. But I don't want it to be a forced thing and then have to have Medicaid type care. And a lot of times that's just not the best care when you get to those aging stages. So yeah, got to take care of yourself first.
Yeah. So first thing is just make sure you're covered. Again, you want to make sure your own foundation is secure, right? So that way you can give this stuff with confidence. Second thing is clarifying your motivation. So how do you kind of help someone kind of make sure that they're giving what they want to, and that their needs in terms of how they give these gifts are being met? What do we mean when we talk about clarifying? Hey, what is your motivation?
Yeah, it's kind of going back to our previous points is like, how do you want to see this money enjoyed by your kids or your grandkids? And I think if you're giving them this type of money, I think you do have a little bit of say in how this money is used, because essentially it's your money. You don't have to give the gift. I think if you have a good relationship with your family, you could take that one of two ways. Hey, I really like for you to use it for this. Maybe for your grandkid, it's to help purchase a car or something like that. So I think you could get really specific with it, or you could just say, you know what, like, I trust you. This is a gift. I'm washing my hands of this, and you guys use it however you see fit. So there's two different approaches there. If I was giving it to a grandkid, I would be very specific on how I want that money used. If I'm giving it to my daughter one day or my son, then hopefully they make good decisions. If they don't make good decisions and they're not a good human being, they ain't getting any money from me. But if they are, then I'll probably trust, the decisions they need to make for their family.
As you're working through this, I know it's also important that you got to really understand the gifting rules. This is a big part of the decision making, right? You've kind of touched on this a little bit so far, but what are some of the rules that you need to be aware of before you make any decisions?
Yeah, it's a huge thing to take advantage of it. So you can give away each person can give away $19,000 per person and not pay any tax. The donor or the recipient doesn't have to pay any tax on that $19,000. Technically, if you give anything more than that, you're supposed to file a tax form to show that, hey, I've given more than 19,000. So, but then a married couple can combine that gift, and then you get to $38,000 per person. So, and you can give this 19 grand to unlimited amount of people. That blows my mind that more people don't take advantage of that. Like that's unlimited. You can do that as much as you want to an individual. So it's like, man, take advantage of that. If you do want to leave some or give some of that inheritance away, take advantage of that. You can do that. And if you have kids that are married, then you can double that up, because 19 per person, and then the spouse can give 19 anyway. So that's a lot of money that you can gift and give away. But $19,000, you have to file. You're technically supposed to file a tax form. I think it's a 709. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's a 709 tax form. That or it's a 706. Anyway, any money over that $19,000, you're supposed to declare it, because that subtracts your lifetime gift exemption. So, and that's almost $14 million per person. So if you give an extra $1,000 away, if you give 20 grand away, you're technically supposed to file a tax form that says this $1,000 is coming over my lifetime gift tax exemption. So now, instead of I think it's $13.99 million that a person can pass on without an estate tax, you subtract a little measly $1,000 from that total, and then it moves it down. So there's a lot of opportunities here, especially with this baby boomer generation passing on legacies. There's tons of planning opportunities when it comes to that. But just as far as an individual, there's $19,000 is the gift tax exemption for this year.
Again, ultimately, the decision is to make sure that your generosity aligns with your tax strategy. That's kind of the bottom line there, right? Take advantage of what's available to you as you're trying to provide these gifts to people. All right, one last thing is weighing the impact of the decision that you're making, of the gifts that you're going to give. I guess you got to kind of determine, hey, is it better? Is it going to get more out of it now versus later? And you kind of touched on this, Ron. Are they responsible enough to handle it now versus later? But weighing that impact is important.
Yeah, the impact is huge, because again, you want to be as impactful as possible and as efficient with your lifetime savings as you can. And speaking of that impact, so another point, so two things that you can really take advantage of the IRS tax rules is, let's say you have a grandkid in college and tuition. Like, I have a nephew who just went through this process, and he's landed on going to he's going to be at Tar Heel, North Carolina, which is a great school. But he went through the process with Wake Forest and a bunch of Clemson and Georgia and a bunch of other institutions, and they live in North Carolina. So that out-of-state tuition, it was crazy. Some of the $85,000 a year for some of these schools. So as a grandparent, you can pay that school directly for tuition costs, and it's unlimited. So if it's $100 grand a year and you want to pay tuition, you have to pay the institution directly, but that doesn't count toward your gift exemption. That just goes directly to the school. So that's one way to take advantage of it. And another way is, we talk about RMDs on this show, required minimum distributions. Well, for a lot of people, that's around 73 to 75, depends on when you were born. But if you don't need that required minimum distribution, you can, if you're charitably inclined, you can give that way to a nonprofit organization, and it counts as your R&D, but you give it directly to a nonprofit, so you don't pay tax, and the nonprofit doesn't pay tax, but you get credit for your required minimum distribution. And you can start that at age 70 and a half. So that's a huge benefit. So that's a QCD is what they call that. So you can give that to an institution directly and it counts. So there's a bunch of different ways to take advantage. It doesn't have to be just to a person. It can be to nonprofit entities as well. So that's even making a bigger impact, maybe even a lasting impact far beyond your years that you're here.
Look, there's a lot to think through, as we've kind of pointed out today. I mean, that's not everything, and your decision, right, is going to depend on a lot of these factors, and you want someone that can help you work through that. Black Oak Asset Management can do that with you. Again, speakwithryan.com. Easiest way to schedule a time, find one that works for you to sit down with Ryan, begin talking through some of these things. And gifting is a great opportunity, and it really, if you've gotten to this point, congratulations, because you've done a good job saving and planning for your future. And now you're in a position to help others out. It's a great spot to be in, but you got to make sure you're doing what's best for you, both personally and for your finances moving forward. So again, a lot to think through. If you have questions, we'd love to hear from you. Also, leave a comment as well if you have anything on your mind. But Ryan, thanks for taking us through this again. As always, you want to sit down, have a plan for yourself, for your family, and gifting is a big part of that. And hopefully these things will help people consider what's most important moving forward.
Yeah, and if anybody has any leftover QCD money that they want to give to a nonprofit, there's plenty of travel ball organizations out there that would love to take your money. So give me a call.
That's so true. They could use the help. There's no question about it. All right, we'll close it out on that note. Thanks for watching Perfect Game Retirement. Please subscribe if you haven't done that as well. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take care.